Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Warning: this video will contain spoilers for the Stephen King novel and HBO miniseries, The Outsider. This video may contain discussions and/or images of violence, sexual situations, and drug use. Viewing beyond this point is a choice you have made, and you take responsibility for that choice. Thank you, and please have a nice day.
Hello and welcome to this video. I'm glad everyone is out there. Glad you're watching this video. I hope the universe is treating you well. I hope you're doing well in the universe. Today's video we are going to discuss Stephen King's The Outsider. And I'm going to be jumping from back and forth between the novel and the HBO miniseries, which was very well done in my opinion. Yeah, this is one of the things that I came across that had slipped completely past me. The novel was released in 2018, and like I said, it slipped right past me. I had no clue that this one had come out. The novel is set in Flint City, Oklahoma, and the miniseries, let me see, is set in a different town, Cherokee City. So yeah, there's some changes. There's some things that they changed for the miniseries versus the novel, and some of them, a lot of them, are necessary changes because, first of all, the written word or novels, short stories, stuff like that, already have difficulty being translated into live action. Then you compound that with the fact that it's a Stephen King novel. And Stephen King novels are just, in my opinion, almost unfilmable. I mean, just because King picks his words, picks his phrasings, picks everything so methodically, so beautifully, that how I see something in my brain when I read a novel is going to be different than how you see it in your brain when you read the novel. It is both the novel and the miniseries hold to the story of a child murder, with all witnesses, all DNA pointing to a suspect. A prominent teacher, little league coach, just well-liked person. And just really a pillar of society, and like no one would believe it. The character's name is, the accused is Terry Mitlin. In the miniseries was played by Jason Bateman. And just a little bit of trivia: the first 2 episodes of the miniseries were directed by Jason Bateman. Just for a trivia thing. If you're ever doing trivia night, just a little bit of trivia. And in the novel, it is. I mean, King takes it to a level in the novel that is probably good that they didn't show, because King goes places in his novels that I don't think non-Stephen King fans can stomach, would have trouble stomaching, because the child murder in the novel wasn't just a gruesome, bloody murder. It was a murder followed up with sexual assault. So yeah, it's pretty graphic in the novel. But because of Terry Midland and his wife and his family standing, and they're not wealthy or rich, but they're not poor, they're not destitute. They have a lawyer, and the lawyer basically finds stuff that, you know, eyewitnesses, security camera footage and stuff where Terry was not in town when that murder happened, and he was at a teaching conference, and which throws into the whole thing of how can one person be in two places at the same time. In the novel, he goes into much greater detail. There's more for the reader to chew on. There's more for the mind, more to enthrall the imagination, that first of all you couldn't, on a streaming TV show budget, you couldn't do on that budget. Second of all, as advanced as our technology is, as advanced as our computer systems are, and our AI and computer generation and all that, it fails in comparison to the human mind. And like I said, King just knows how to write that. We go through the book, and for me, this is my first introduction to the character of Holly Gibney. Holly Gibney, there's something about that character that I just immediately warmed up to when reading the book, which gave me great surprise when I went and read Mr. Mercedes and found out that's where she debuted. That's where the Mr. Mercedes, that trilogy of books, where she debuted, and her character was just beautifully, built. Yeah, you can tell in the writing that in the books, any of the books with Holly Gibney in them, or even the short story, and it bleeds, that this is Stephen King's literary daughter. I mean, he's taken his time, he's matured her, he's grown her. But this is if I keep on, this is going to turn into a Holly Gibney video and not the Outlander or Outsider, excuse me. And as we're going through the story, where Ralph Anderson, our intrepid detective, who or Frank in the novel. It's Peterson. In the miniseries, it is Frank Anderson. And let me clear. I forgot to. No, Frankie Peterson is the child that gets killed. Excuse me. I need to actually read my notes while I'm doing this. It is Frank. It is Ralph Anderson in the novel. Excuse me. Like I said, I need to pay more attention to my notes when I'm doing this. As he is dedicated to the truth. Anderson is, above all things, the truth is his thing, and to follow the evidence. So this whole thing with Terry being in two places at the same time, the DNA, the DNA evidence and the eyewitnesses versus the eyewitnesses and the video cam footage, and the TV series, and I can't recall right offhand if it in the novel, but where he was talked to or interviewed during a PBS type interview about the teacher conference. So yeah, and it gets to the point where Anderson just finally goes to the Terry's lawyer. Unfortunately, Terry gets shot and killed. Some grieving psychopath shoots and kills Terry. Then Terry's son attempts to exact revenge, and he gets gunned down by the cops. It's just this cycle of violence. Like I said, Anderson is he wants the truth. It's not about, at this point, at first, because of all the evidence, he just knew that Terry Maitland was guilty. He just knew it because of the evidence. And when all this other stuff started creeping in, Anderson wasn't so sure. And just in case, those of you who enjoy things like that, in the miniseries, Anderson is played by Ben Mendelsohn, who is also Krennic in the Rogue One movie. So, I don't know why I thought of that or why my brain decided it was important to say, but there it is. So he goes to, after Terry's death and all these other tragic deaths, he goes to the Maitland lawyer, a man by the name of Howard Solomon, or Howie Solomon. Is what he goes by? His name's Howard, but he goes by Howie. And they start going through this, and they're at their wits' end. And the PI that works for Howie suggests hiring a private detective with a bit of a dubious reputation for thinking outside the box, Holly Gibney. The Holly Gibney character in the miniseries is extremely different than Holly Gibney in the book. Holly Gibney in the miniseries has like superpowers of memory and perception, and it's kind of a savant. Whereas in the novelized Holly Gibney, she's more of somebody that possesses a very fast thinking brain, hyper intelligent, and just, is able to put things together faster than most people. She comes from she has a very abusive mother, very manipulative mother. And if I ever do a video just specifically on Holly Gibney, the life and times of Holly Gibney, I'll get more into that. But also in this miniseries, she's played by Cynthia Erivo, Erivo. Erivo. I tried to look up the pronunciation, but it gave some Greek characters in there, and I was like, yeah, but who is black. She does a hell of a job. She does, with what she was given to work with, the changes they made to Holly for this miniseries. She did a damn good job. Not taking anything away from her, not taking anything away from the script or the story. Like I said, it's a Stephen King novel, and those are damn near nigh impossible to put into live action. But yeah, she does a damn good job. I would recommend watching this miniseries just simply for her interactions in the show. That everyone else does a damn good job, but hers and Mendelssohn's are the two standout performances. Jason Bateman's is a really super close second, but just because he gets killed and we don't get very much of him before he dies, so that's the reason why the other two kind of edge him out. But we find through Holly that a supernatural Mexican-American spirit called El Cuco, which I think it actually predates Mexico. It may be Aztec or Mayan or something. It may go back that far. I can't remember. When I first read the book several years ago, I did a lot of research on it, and on that particular thing, and it was kind of crazy. And I know it's much older than what we give it credit for. The El Cuco spirit is a shapeshifter, and it has to have touched you or acquired part of your DNA to take your form. And the book and the show and the miniseries do a real good job of explaining that. They explain how Terry was visiting a relative in a old folks / sanitarium home, and how the El Cuco in the guise of somebody else bumps into him, and that incarnation or that shape of El Cuco had killed somebody else, and it goes through how this, it goes through this, and it's just this beautiful, both in the book, and as I said like I've said in many of my videos, I will always default, or almost always, because sometimes the source material isn't, but that is the exception that proves the rule. So yeah, but the source material, especially when it comes to anything based on a Stephen King story, is going to be the superior form of storytelling. The culmination, big shootout and tunnel system, cave in. Anderson and Gibney barely get out by the skin of their teeth. And as far as we know, Okuko is either killed or trapped in this cavern system. Which you need to go and read It Bleeds. Because the short story, it's a compilation of Stephen King short stories, what It Bleeds is. And the short story that deals with Holly, the way it's told, it actually ties into this story, and it's just one of those stories that you're like, I could have never thought of that in 100,000 million years. But Stephen King is one of those rare jewels that we are fortunate enough to have in our lifetime. So yeah, I recommend the book. I would recommend the miniseries. Highly recommend the miniseries. But I recommend the book even more. If you haven't experienced either one, I would say do the miniseries first, then go do the book, because the miniseries is good. As good as the miniseries is, it's wonderful and is intriguing and is mind capturing, and it captures you. If you pay attention to it, every little nuance detail captures your mind and forces you into that world. Whereas in the novel, it is times 100. So yeah, it's one of those great things that I could probably sit and do a 45-minute video on each episode of the miniseries, and probably a multi-hour episode on each chapter of the novel. Like I said, go out and read it. Go out and watch the miniseries. If you've already read it. If you haven't experienced, like I said earlier, if you haven't experienced either one of them, do the miniseries first, then go back and read the novel. There are characters in the novel, but because of due to time, budget constraints, and stuff like that, that are just awesome characters in the novel that just barely get a mention in the miniseries. But like I said, it is more than worth it for both of them. If you're not a reader, watch the miniseries. If you're not a TV watcher, a miniseries watcher, how you got to watch this video, I don't know, but read the book. So, with all that being said, as always, people, be a good human, be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?